and welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Yo-ho, yo-ho, Pirates life for me. You know who's happy in life? Pirates. You know why? They have boats. They don't have to work in somebody else's Navy like I do and call guys like Bob Hodge and say, hey, can we get the boat out this week? I'm not in there. I'm not happy. I mean, you guys have to get out there and get a boat. And the best place to buy a boat, Madisonville Marine. They have an incredible selection. They have incredible prices. And the thing that's best of all is their customer service. They've been down there in Madisonville for nearly 40 years now. They're bringing in people from as far away as Atlanta and Nashville, repeat business. You don't do that unless you deliver quality customer service. Madisonville Marine. See for yourself why they have been around for nearly 4 decades now. All right. And if our show goes on for 4 decades, we hope you'll be with us the entire time. Jimmy Hyams. Jimmy Hyams, of course, host of Sports Talk Monday through Friday on Sports Radio WNML. I still want to say the sports animal. Sports Radio WNML. Jimmy Hyams, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
All right. We had a lot to talk about last week, so I sort of shelved this topic. I thought it would stick a little bit longer and we could bring it back out after Media Days. But I think what happened at Media Days is you saw what we expected, a lot of us expected to see, and that was a whole lot of love for Josh Dobbs. You saw national writers flock to him. Sporting News did a thing on him. You saw stories on him on ESPN. Man, they went crazy over the guy. And my question is this. It's not a can, because I think the can is, the answer to that is yes. The question is will. When you combine his academic strengths, his personality, because he's a tremendous representative for the school. When you combine those things with his athletic ability, which still isn't proven, you've seen flashes, will he become Tennessee's most high-profile football player since Peyton Manning? Jimmy, I start with you.
I'm going to say yes. I think he will. And then who'd be the highest since then? You might argue Eric Berry.
Yeah.
But I think he will be because not only the academics, but I think on the field you're going to see a guy that's going to perform very well. I was looking at this the other day. If you look at Tennessee's opponents this year, is there a quarterback that Tennessee plays that you would rather have than Dobbs? And my answer is no. I think he's going to have a big year for Tennessee, provided he stays healthy. I think he's got some weapons around him. I think he's going to put up big numbers, and I think that he's going to go down as one of the most high-profile since Manning.
You look at Eric Berry, and I agree with you. I think that's to me, that's clearly the number 2, and he was nowhere near that Manning zone. One, because he wasn't a quarterback. Those guys that touch the ball on every play get even more hype, and I think that he certainly can become that guy. Will he become that guy?
Because I want to answer the can question.
Here we go. Can. No.
Because there's so much that goes into that, but I'm going to come down on the side of he will, because I don't think he doesn't have to be as good as Peyton Manning. He doesn't have to go undefeated like T. Martin. The bar is set a little bit lower for him to get that kind of exposure and to get that kind of limelight put on Tennessee because of his brains. So I think he doesn't have to perform up here to do that. It can be down here, and I think he will.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with he will.
And the question is, again, just to make it, will he become the most high profile nationally since Manning? That does not mean will he equal Manning, surpass Manning. So just to make it clear, I think you're correct in the way you answered that. It's not like he has to take them to an Orange Bowl in the senior year and an SEC championship to become the most high-profile of all nationally since Manning. He could be number 2 easily ahead of some of these other guys.
T. Martin could have done that if he had had a good second season following up on national championship.
Yeah.
But I think when Tennessee disappointed a little bit, that knocked him back. So I think it leaves it pretty wide open.
I think he will, absolutely. But let's be honest here. There aren't many people in the last 2 decades that could fill that role.
Yes.
Right? So it may be just because Dobbs is there that, yes, he will become the next one. Now, we're talking about 5 games of last year, four of which he started. 6 games, 5 of which he started. Let's throw out his freshman season. Let's pump the brakes here on the expectations, because I know that's what Butch Jones would want to do, and I think that's right, because we're talking about a very, very small sample size. We're talking about games against Vanderbilt, games against Kentucky. Obviously, the Alabama game he came in and played, but when you look at what really we're measuring him by are those 5 starts in which he went 4-1. But some of those teams weren't the high-profile teams in the SEC, so let's pull back on the expectations. But yeah, I think he will become the next national Vol after Peyton Manning.
Yeah, and we talked about that last week, that a lot of people seem to be thinking that he's arrived. All you have to do is go back and look at Missouri and Vanderbilt when Matt Crowder was out. You had one offensive lineman out, and that offense went back to being very average, even with him in there. Chuck, your thoughts? Will he become the most high-profile Vol nationally since Manning?
Yeah, I think he will. And don't forget, he's only a junior. So then he still has this season and the next one, and another name that we might not have mentioned, to be the most high-profile academically. The best award in college football for that is what, the Dratty Award? And I would go back to Michael Munoz as another player that you kind of have forgotten a little bit about because he didn't go on and play in the NFL. Offensive lineman, 2-time All-American, I believe. But he won the Dratty Award, which is the academic Heisman. So then if Josh Dobbs win that, then yeah, you are the most high-profile since.
I
Yeah,
think
but
you
the
went
fact-
back just to say the Dratty Award.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you credit then. Points for Dratty Award. But
If you look at what Dobbs did last year, 6 games, I thought you had 4 good and 2 pretty average.
Yep.
You extrapolate that over this season, if he has 8 good games out of 12, now it depends on who it's against. But if you have 8 good games out of 12, and then that's going to probably get you into a bowl game, I think that really sets the table for that profile going up. So that's what I'm extrapolating.
They go have a couple of more comebacks like they had at South Carolina on national TV,
Right.
and that's really going to vault you out there
see,
even more.
and there's another point. That's a good point. Now that the SEC network and now that the SEC has to deal with ESPN, every game Tennessee plays is going to be on national television. With the exception of Western Carolina, everything's going to be out there for everyone to see, which if you're playing in the Big Ten, you're not necessarily getting every single game. If you're in the Big 12, you got some games that are still on regional cable. So that does help Josh Dobbs. All right, when we come back, a couple of players getting in trouble. One got in trouble this week. One's leaving the program. We'll discuss Charles Mosley. We'll discuss Jaquez Bruce when we come back on the Sports Source.
From East Tennessee to the Carolinas, no job is too big for Benedict Construction. Patios and decks, custom remodels, even custom homes. With a reputation for excellence, rely on the custom work of Benedict Construction.